Good to see you again, man. It's been a while. I gave you a quick intro. I think a lot of people here at this point are familiar with you. Spencer, formerly Spencer Ventures, founder, new founder, or CEO, owner, I don't know the exact title of Moonbirds. And you've kind of been on a little bit of a generational run. We were just looking at the chart on Magic Eden since taking over. I mean, do you want to give us a quick intro on who you are, what you do, what you're working on right now, and how we got here?
Yeah, so a little background. I mean, it's been all over the place in my life. I used to be a competitive fencer, used to be a trading card dealer, ran some startups, got into crypto, raised a fund. We were basically all cash when FTX collapsed, aggressively bid the FTX dip. We used to do a peak 5% of market volume on Blur. So probably there are very few people in the world, if any, who've traded more NFTs than I have. We very famously have like a quite a large Pudgy Penguin position, which is been very nice for us. Turns out that was a good thing to buy during the FTX collapse. And kind of been all over the place. And threadguy, it's good to be here, and I appreciate you having me. Seeing your come up, and then the arc you've been on has been awesome. So excited. I heard earlier you've got size waiting on the sidelines, so I'm glad you have size now, because many people don't remember pre-size threadguy, but size threadguy is a lot more base. So I'm excited for it.
Fuck yeah, man. We've been through it a little bit. I didn't know the Blur thing. You were doing 5% of Blur volume.
At peak, yeah, yeah. We used to, yeah, yeah.
Did you
I
get
used to do a lot of volume.
did you get crushed on farming Blur airdrop?
No, no, it was great. So the majority of farming that I did was the first airdrop, which was awesome. And then we continued to do strategies in the second airdrop, but they were mostly like delta neutral strategy. We used to market make against fractionalized protocols, and that ended up doing a lot of volume on Blur, but we were never taking directional positions like that, right? Like one of the things that I guess I talk less about on Twitter, but do a lot more of, is like weird, funky trades. Like a trade that we did for a while was like when Blend first came out, you could borrow 70% LTV against CryptoPunks, and we would take that and we would lend it out. So we would borrow 0% interest rate loans, 70% LTV against our punks, and take that ETH and like lend it to people for like a 6-7% interest rate. And like, why not do that, right? So I do a lot of like funky trades. We used to market make Blur against other marketplaces and stuff. Like, why not do that? But there wasn't like, as you said earlier in the stream, like when that trade was on, there's no reason to talk about that. That's a trade with constrained size, and the more people who know it, the less profitable it is. So like there's no reason to go like gabbing about that on Twitter in a big way, you know?
Yeah, I think there's been a migration where no one wants to talk about their trades on Twitter for different
I don't even think
reasons.
that that's true. I think it's always been that way. I think you just know what the real trades are now, and so you smell the bullshit on Twitter.
Mm.
Like there's always been people putting trades on Twitter. There's bad trades often, right? The macro stuff is good, but like once you realize what the good trades are, you realize they're not the trades that are on Twitter, and that's not because that's a change. It's just always been that way. You just didn't used to have access to the knowledge of what the good trades were.
I like that take. This is always a thing when I was in the reselling scene as well. It was like, if you have an edge, why would you burn the loop for like 100 likes on Twitter? Like if you really have some
Yeah.
edge, there's no why would you kill the loop? Why would you burn it on Twitter for like a little bit of clout? It's never worth the P&L. Can you have the very famous, you had mentioned it, Spencer Ventures, like Pudgy Penguins full port at the bottom of FTX FUD. Like top UP&L, how much did you guys make on Pudgy Penguins?
Oh, I mean, like 8 figures, right? Like I was buying Pudgy Penguins for like 2.5 ETH when ETH was like $1,000, and then I doubled down on the position when we bought the 3AC portfolio, and they were like the Penguins were like 5 grand, right? Like we bought a lot, like we bought the whole 3AC portfolio in addition to probably already being the largest holder before that, right? And then like a lot of it still we hold still a lot of that position. We don't hold all of that position anymore, but like I mean, Penguin's been really good to us, right? Like Pudgies alone have been great. And like I think you talked earlier about like where you think you're good or not. Like I'm quite good at like the 10 mil to a bill range. I'm not as good at like a bill to 5 bill. Like that's where I'm like, and so, but the dream is always that my positions get out of the range where I know what the fuck's going on. And so that's that's kind of something we realized here, right? Is like you know even Blur, like that's why we farmed so aggressively that first season. Was like, to me that was like that same unit of time. It was like they'd done the 100 mil valuation raise, they hadn't done their token yet, right? Like it's somewhere in that range. And it made a lot of sense. As you said too, like you know I'm not that interested in like what $1 billion, $3 billion token is going to 2x. I'm interested as a trader in like what $10 million token is going to go to a billion, or like what activity can I be doing to farm something that will come out the gates at a billion.
8 figures is disgusting. LP return on that was gross.
Yeah, to my investors, right? This is not my money
Yeah,
fully,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they're happy. Like no one's upset. And the crazy thing is like not only that, but like I raised an NFT fund. Like you have no idea how many paths there were to take that just zero out that strategy, right? The average returns of NFTs over that period of time is not good. When I raised my fund, Bored Apes were 80 ETH.
I actually think not only did you not have many outs, an NFT fund, I think you basically made the only possible trade you could have made other than buying punks that would have generated any type of serious returns.
Well, yeah, and buying punks in is just like ETH did well, right? It's not even like an NFT trade, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's
and like we
insane.
bought almost all of those on Blur, right? You have to like our Blur airdrop was also 7 figures.
Whoa. Oh, so you what number in like top blur airdrop did you receive? Were you the biggest airdrop?
No. I was not the biggest. So there was a period of time where I was multiple of the top 10 wallets because I used to be one of the top 10 wallets, and we were having so many points. We realized that like there was a multiplier. So that if you're in the top 10, you got like 2.5x your points. So, but if you were like more than 2 times biggest, the second person, like you might as well split that into 2 accounts so that you can push other people out of having multipliers because like there's not a constrained variable there. Like you're just trying to have the most points.
Wow. The NFT fund is interesting because we connected to Moonbirds. Ryan Carson had the fund. I forget what he called it, 847 or some shit to
It's like 121G, yeah.
121G to Sweet Moonbirds at the top, which was probably one of the worst plays you ever could have possibly made. And then 2 years later, you have since purchased Moonbirds, which is have you ever publicly said how much you paid for the Moonbirds IP?
No, and that's unfortunately not something that I can share.
Okay.
But like it wasn't a crazy amount, right? Like it was a deal that made a lot of sense. And I think like kudos to Garga and Yuga and them because like certainly there were other offers probably I would expect that were in a greater like dollar amount to them, but they were very keen on like wanting to get it to like a good custodian of it, right? And I think like where we were positioned was like we were really close to the biggest comeback, right? Which was Pudgy, like saw that kind of all happen. Like there's no one who has traded more in this in NFTs than me, like who kind of have seen what had happened. And like, we were in this moment where like, NFTs gave so much to me as a person, like what it's allowed me to do in life is incredible that like someone had to go and take Moonbirds and make them like, back, I hope to their former glory, but at least bring them back in some very meaningful way. And like, to me, that's partially like me just kind of giving back to the space that gave to me, but also like, I want to win. Like I've backed a lot, as much as I have those wins, I have many, many losses that are zeros that I cannot even sell because there's literally no bid on them. Right. And so diversified for no reason, right? Like you may as well just go to your conviction bets. And if it's the only thing to buy, just keep buying it versus and so I was looking at the market. I was like, all right, well, I have so much size in Pudgy Eco right now that like I don't have enough other stuff to put into it where my position meaningfully changes, right? And it's like, what else can I just like do with my time and effort besides like watching this one chart? And it made a lot of sense. Like Moonbirds, like I always love the art. I love the art of Mythics. Like it has so much potential. Yeah. It was this historic thing. And it's in this position where like anything you do with it is better than what was done with it, right? Like it's not a high bar to do better than what was happening. And then like but I'm someone like I'm a competitive person. Like I was a competitive fencer. Like I'm someone who wants to win, right? And so I think that's really what Moonbirds always wanted was someone at its forefront that like wanted to actually see it win, right? And so that's been really exciting to kind of rally that energy and just go and like be on Twitter pounding the pavement, like which is what prior management wasn't doing around it.
So one could make the argument that in 2025, as a crypto participant, the singular worst, most unforgiving position you could be in is the founder or the owner of an NFT collection that has mostly bag holders that are down like 98% and a general market that is also down like 98% volume, floor prices, revenue, every activity. you've made a lot of money in your life. I don't know what your net worth is, but you've done very well, publicly done very well. Like, I'm sure you've answered this many times, but like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? I mean, why?
Yeah, dude,
Why would you bring it on yourself? Why, honestly, like, why would you bring it on yourself? For what?
people miss the opportunity in this, right? Like this is like the grandest trade is not like the grandest trade is buying the company, right? Like this is like what I saw was the opportunity to absolutely leapfrog our company, Orange Cap Games, place in the space in a very significant way without like rushing to launch a fungible token, right? In many cases, like Moonbirds, like, even though NFTs are down so much, almost everyone who participates in crypto today, not everyone, but a lot of people were around in 21 and have nostalgic and fond memories for that period of time, right? We have the ability from that account to DM anyone in the space. We could reach out to them, all this kind of stuff, right? And on top of that, like, I think the IP is really good, right? And I actually do think that NFTs have the ability to have a comeback. And if I'm levered into that position, I might as well just be disgustingly long. And I think there's no way to be more disgustingly long than buy Moonbirds, right? Like, and I don't mean like, for me, it wasn't just like acquire the NFTs. It was like acquire the collection, like acquire the company. Because if NFTs come back, Moonbirds is just absolutely not even close to anyone else in terms of it is just in the best position by a lot because it's the only collection where people didn't launch a fungible token, right? And
Facts.
has really good art and is still like, still like it was the most relevant thing for a period of time. And it definitely came back, fell away in terms of its relevance, but like bringing it back is not that hard because people do want to see it win. And the holder base for Moonbirds is very interesting. It's not the same as the rest of crypto Twitter. There's a ton of people in Europe, a ton of people in Silicon Valley. It's a Kevin Rose's podcast audience who tend to not be the type of people who like are like day trading NFTs to make money for food. Like they tend to be affluent tech community, right? So, like no one, I think people have like, no one in the community is like, oh, I can't, I'm hoping my Moonbird goes back to 40 ETH where it was. Like, I mean, that would be great. Yeah. But like when we acquired it, there wasn't like, you need to get me back to 40 ETH because everyone had just kind of like given up on that, right? That was kind of over. I want to bring that energy back, but like, it's a really interesting position to be in. And for us, like just the sheer amount of relevance and opportunity. Now, there's also a longer vision play here, which is that like, I do think NFTs have a moment. I think we're starting to see that again. And I think it has to do with how crypto works structurally overall. The only thing that ever matters in crypto is new inflows of capital, right? There's sort of two things that happen. One is you can PvP. During the bear market, it was pure PvP. Like blur farming was just PvP. Pump fund trenches were just PvP, right? There wasn't new capital coming in. It was the same people just taking money from each other. And when that happens, you have extreme winners and extreme losers, right? Which it's great if you win. Very few people win. It tends to be a lot of people losing for one winner, right? And that's why the winners have so much money because they took a lot of people's money, right? Where crypto is really fun is when it feels like everybody's winning. And when it feels like everybody's winning, that's because more money is just coming in. And the sophisticated people who have been here for a while benefit from having been here for a while and seeing and knowing the players and seeing who's legit and who's not, right? And in the prior cycle, the new inflows of capital were coming on chain. They were coming to CEXs, right? Binance led a lot of growth. That's why Binance is like probably the most meaningful company in crypto, right? Like that was the thing that happened. Right now, that's not where new capital comes from, right? For a period of time, there was some new capital coming onto Solana through credit cards and letting you, use your credit card to buy Solana to leverage. Like that was kind of, but really where new capital is coming into crypto is the public markets, right? The Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, CT does not matter. As you said, you can't move the price of $1 billion asset. Like, who can move the price of $1 billion asset? Fucking Wall Street, right? And so that's actually where new capital is coming in. Now, there's only 3 assets, maybe 4 that really make sense, right? Bitcoin, obviously Wall Street loves Bitcoin, no question. ETH, I think this ETH run is people are realizing ETH is like an institutionally viable asset. Like you can build a thesis around ETH and not feel ridiculous for owning it. Like it's a $400 billion asset. Like institutions will get behind that. Even like people in their like retirement accounts. Like my Roth IRA has some ETH in it now. Fair. ETFs, right? I think Solana is a reasonable asset to own, right? But like the long tail drop off of like how long until you own like Fartcoin maybe, right? But it drops off really substantially how quickly you can build the thesis. The thing that's interesting about NFTs is when you have all of these treasury companies for Ethereum. So like MicroStrategy is clearly the main one in Bitcoin, but for Ethereum, you have all of these, like there's GameSquare, there's a whole bunch of these that are doing it. How do you differentiate? You have to beat each other on returns, which means you need ETH and ETH beta, right? but they don't want to hold other tokens. And the only other ETH beta is NFTs. And I think that's why you see this run that's happening in NFTs right now, is because I think some of these public treasury companies, you saw GameSquare buy a CryptoPunk, but like you see like actually CryptoPunks entering. It's very interesting that CryptoPunks are owned by public market companies, even Visa back in the last cycle, before most of the other altcoins are.
So is your thesis that the institutions, specifically these ETH treasury companies, are going to be market slamming NFTs, and that's where the new run comes from?
I mean, I'm commenting on the thing that is currently happening. I'm not saying like this is a pie in the sky future. Like this is literally happening right now, and is why NFTs seem to be having a moment right now. And like it is very interesting to watch, because even I, a few weeks ago, like if you watch interviews when I acquired Moonbirds, wasn't like, oh, well, I'm acquiring Moonbirds because public treasury companies are going to be buying them. But it is a very interesting thing to watch happen right now, that like before Solana has an ETF, we have public treasury companies buying CryptoPunks, right? And like for how relevant we feel NFTs are as like Twitter native crypto participants, it seems insane that that would be the case. But external observers, like looking in, it's like the XRP thing, right? If you ask anyone on Twitter about XRP, everyone's be like, who the fuck holds that? But like, it's actually one of the best coins of the cycle, because your Uber driver owns it, right? Is like Twitter matters less and less to the overall economy, because less that we work in, because less money is coming in through Twitter. It's also why it feels like there are fewer runners, because like things don't break out of Twitter anymore in the way they used to, right?
Do you have an exit plan for Moonbirds? Like, how do you make $1 billion off owning Moonbirds?
This is a good question. I think you have to grow what Moonbirds is, right? Like I think you have to look at kind of what Pudgy did. Like Pudgy is a $1 billion company, right? And like, what did it do? It grew relevance, right? One of the things that used to happen, 2016, 17, and 2021 cycle, like tech really mattered, right? Whoever was on the forefront of tech is the leader. Now, nobody cares. All the tech's the same. The incremental growth of tech has really, really slowed. This industry is not about that anymore. So if this industry is not about that anymore, what is it about, right? I think what Pudgy shows a viable route is IP matters. It doesn't like, Pudgy exists on ETH, Pengu exists on Solana, right? You even saw like Yuga do 12-fold on ordinals at some point, right? Like it doesn't matter so much. Like the thing that if you want to be not risk exposed to what the tech soup du jour is, building an IP and building like a digitally native IP seems to be a really strong strategy. Now, whatever that becomes, like I think of NFT as a platform, right? What is the big outcome from the platform? Well, for Luca and Pudgy, like meme coins made sense. They used it to acquire an L2. They did that. Like where do we go? I don't know for sure, right? Like we are very recently relevant again. Like we acquired Moonbirds like almost like it was like 60 days ago, 60, like very recent. And like we were nothing until like 2 weekends ago. We started having volume again. Now we're top 2, top 5, top 3 in volume basically every day on NFTs, right? Like a lot of the playing field is opened up for us in terms of what types of plays we can make. And so, one of the things that we're really good as a company is making physical collectibles. Like we have a whole Asia-based team that just like makes stuff, right? So one of my theses is like, do you know how Hello Kitty became big?
No, I'm actually curious.
So Hello Kitty became big because there's this dude in China who just owned a factory and just slapped it on everything and like just exported it, right? That was how that IP really grew, right? Like one of the things we're exploring is like, how do we make Grail physical collectibles? Because our company Orange Cap Games also makes Vibes, which is the Pudgy Penguins trading card game. Like, we know how to do that component really well. So part of it is just like grow, keep the lights on, like make sure that you're in a position where if crypto flash crashes tomorrow, your company isn't like done. I think a lot of people did not do that last cycle, right? Like if Bitcoin, like every crypto participant, you need your plan for if Bitcoin goes down 50% tomorrow to make sure that you or your company are not just like dead, right? So A, revenue, those kind of things, right? Then B, it's like grow IP, grow opportunity, and C, it's like leverage the opportunities presented, right? Like the opportunities presented is for Pudgy was like Solana meme coins was the opportunity presented to do Pengu, right? What is that for Moonbirds? I can't tell you today. I have some thoughts around it. I think a few things we're trying to do is make Moonbirds more mimetic. So one of the things that we're doing is we're really focusing on like less on the moon and more on the bird, and we're really going with Burb, like BIRB. I think is mimetic. Like whenever our community is like excited about stuff, they're burbish. Burbish is like such a strong mimetic like statement. Like this is a lot of the like, or like, Like that's kind of a big kind of rebrand we're doing of the like zeitgeist of Moonbirds.
I like the take. Do you? I mean, surely at some point Moonbirds launches a coin. Yeah, like is that in the is that confirmed? Is that in the works? Can you get by
It's not
without
something we're
doing
going to
it?
discuss on this.
Yeah.
It's what?
Can you
It's
get
not something we're going
by?
to discuss on the stream.
Yeah. Okay. Valid. We could
Like
skip it. I
we
was
as a
gonna even
company,
ask like, could you get by without doing one? But if you don't, we could skip the topic entirely. Like it's.
I
Not,
mean, look, like it's a topic that I talked about a lot before acquiring Moonbirds, but like for me, like where I think that like you know, can we get by? Definitely. Like the thing is, like we are a company that generates revenue. Like we did $1.5 million in revenue off of the trading card game like since December. We're about to have our next release. We'll like we're on track to do a couple million more in revenue this year. Like that's what I mean by like we're a company where crypto could go down 70% tomorrow and like the lights don't turn off in our office, right? Like that's why having physical products and real revenue actually matters. That being said, like it's a balance between the lights don't turn off if crypto drops, but you need to be like disgustingly long if crypto rips, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think everyone right now is a little shell shocked. Liberation Day, when Trump came up with the sign, right, and crypto crashed, like that was traumatic, and you need to just get over that. Because the thing is, like, this is exactly what I remember in 21, me looking at the old heads who were like, the top is in when Bored Apes hit 5 ETH, and me like, how could you think that, right? And this is that moment for us who are in 21. This is the second cycle, right, where it's like ETH was at 4,000 in December, everything looked great. Liberation Day, taxes, tariffs, all that stuff, everything crashes. ETH goes to 1,500. ETH is back at 3,800. And now everyone's like, every time it goes down, you're spooked. Like all of the people that are freaked out about that need to be out, and then it can actually send, right? Like I still think there's more to this run. And I still think that like you both need to be okay with the run being over tomorrow and also a disgustingly big run. But if you are logging in every day, et cetera, and you are not somewhat exposed to a disgusting run that just doesn't stop, then like I think you're just doing this wrong. Like you're not in like that's like the reason to be in crypto is to be ready for that disgusting run.
What has to happen what has to happen for the outcome where crypto does go on a disgusting run and we're just not even close to how euphoric it can get right now?
I think like you really will need to see ETFs, like index funds starting to include a lot more crypto products in like random things that people hold in their retirement accounts without realizing it. Like there's a very big structural bid on stocks in America because you're basically legally required to put your retirement account into stocks, right? And like this is the greatest boomer Ponzi of all time is that like if you go to a retirement advisor, they are not allowed to tell you anything other than put your retirement savings into stocks. And this is why stocks just like only go up, right? It's the greatest Ponzi of all time. Now, like historically, crypto has not been included in that, and that's like trillions of dollars, right? And so like that starts happening more. Some of this legislation that comes in like really like starts having companies. Another thing that could cause a disgusting run is if a company that's private that has a token also goes public. That would cause a disgusting run in crypto. No one's ever done that before. All the companies that have gone public never had a fungible token beforehand. It was going to be that like Artifact was supposed to rip one as part of Nike, right? And it was going to be the first token launched from a publicly traded company, but that got the kibosh, right? Yeah. And so like that's where things get really crazy. But I mean, look, I think things are already happening. It's really like what happens to stop the run. That's more what I'm thinking. And like the things that can stop the run is like maybe like global armed conflict, right? Like there's a lot of just like erratic Trump things that could happen where you're like, you know, like Liberation Day stopped what looked like it was going to be the run a few weeks ago, right? Like they just turns out putting 150% tariff on every country in the world stops the bull run that crypto is on. But like it didn't stop it. It just like people then had a reasonable thesis that it's over. It's like I think a lot of the things that need to happen are happening, which is why I'm generally like net long, but there's a lot of like acute risks that could happen where like things just suddenly crash.
Who do you think is going to be the first private company with a token to go public?
Well, the question is the first private company with a token to go public or the first public company to launch a token, right? It's one of the, it's
which do you think happens first?
I think the first is likely a public company acquires a private company that has a token. I think that's probably how it happens. Like OpenSea is an interesting one, but they're not really doing enough revenue to go public right now. You know, I think if you look at MoonPay is a company that like could do that. Like it's a big enough company where like MoonPay can go public, but it's not clear that like it's worth launching a token if you think it jeopardizes you going public. I would love to see Uniswap go public. I think that's a company that deserves to be public. It is big enough, been around long enough, does enough revenue, has enough TVL where like it makes, you wouldn't look at that next to, like there's a lot of public companies that are less meaningful to society than Uniswap. Like that makes sense as a public company.
What about OpenSea? What about Telegram?
Telegram?
Yeah.
No, it has to be a domestic company. It has to be a US company, right?
Okay.
It can't be like Telegram's too tied to Russia.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a sick take. I'm into that take. I guess the last thing I want to ask you, and I have to let you go here in a minute, is like, what, and maybe you kind of touched on this, I want to ask it more directly. Do you think NFTs, broadly, specifically ETH NFTs, can ever return to the volume and revenue that we saw in like peak 21, 22?
No, definitely not. Like that was disgusting, irrational euphoria for no reason, right? And like everything pumped for no reason, and like that's not good or healthy for an ecosystem. I think that like what the correct thing to see is like can the winners win as big as they did then? Yes, definitely. I think, but will the everything pump where like your mom mints a cat with 7 pixels and like suddenly the president of the Emirates is just spot bidding? Like that shouldn't happen. That's not a sign of a healthy ecosystem. Like 2021 was incredible. You just kind of had to be there, but it was not healthy. Like that was not sustainable. Literally, like in 2021, nothing happened. Do you remember Ohm launched and the first line of its white paper was, "This is the perfect form of a Ponzi," and it went to $1 billion. Like that was not a good thing, right? Like that was a thing that happened that was euphoric, but like it wasn't sustainable, right? I think most NFT companies are swimming naked right now, and I think you're going to see that. And I think that the ones that are not really win. It's what happened in the .com bubble, right? .com bubble was euphoric. No one's like, we want to go back to the .com bubble. It burst for a reason. Then you have Google and Microsoft go on the most generational runs ever in the wreckage of that, right? I think that's where you see Pudgy is like that company that emerged from the like bursting of the .com bubble. I think Moonbirds can be that company that that emerges and does that. Like bubbles happen when something obviously is going, like obviously in the future there was going to be a Microsoft and Google or an Apple style run. That's why the .com bubble happened. Like obviously in the future there will be an NFT run because we know that happened, but like that's why the NFT things happen. It's just most things in a bubble never become relevant, right? And so your goal is like, if you believe this thesis, is like identify the 1 to 2 to 3 things that become relevant, and like and like for example, like punks is like very obvious, right? Like punks is obviously relevant if this thesis is true, but that's why punks are like 50 ETH, right? Like Moonbirds is less obviously the answer. That's why Moonbirds are 2 ETH. But like, if you want to make the more contrarian bet, that's like why you might want to get a Moonbird instead of a punk.
That's a sick answer. I actually fucking think that's a sick answer. And honestly, dude, I'm honestly rooting for you. Like,
you Burbish?
I'm fucking Burbish, man. Clip that one. I'm optimistic for the future. I like NFTs. I came up with NFTs. NFTs fucking saved my life. So I'm optimistic that honestly, that take perfectly summed up. No, we will not return, but yes, there will be companies that do as well, if not bigger. And Spencer, I'm rooting for you, man. I appreciate the time. Appreciate you coming on, and we're fucking Burbish,
appreciate
dude.
You having me.
Much love, man.
All right, I'm Burbish too.
Have a good one, bro. Appreciate you. Peace.